Welcome back to Minus 16, the tech podcast where we also talk very much about the business of YouTube, and we've got some spicy YouTube stuff to get into a little bit later on. Things, they are a-changing, it seems, and we'll be covering all of that a little bit later on.
Yeah.
So we are joined once again by guest Andrew from America this time. So we're going again all around the world here on time zones.
Yes, very early here, but I'm happy to be here, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining.
And Daniel, Alex, how you boys going? All good with you?
Good. I'm better now.
We'll explain that in just a minute, yeah. Alex had a pained look on his face as he joined us on the stream, and we now know why. And I understand that's a football shirt of some kind, Daniel. I know you and Andrew are chatting. I've got Scooby.
As a Ronaldo fan, that hurts, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's a Lionel Messi into Miami jersey. That's enough of you can see the back of it. Yep.
And we were just chatting before recording, but I was joking with Daniel last week on Sunday on Twitter saying, watching Messi paying Tim some Apple dollar, that's got to really, really hurt you. But apparently you give both legs to go and see Messi, so you know.
Well, you see, last year I got Apple TV, the season pass for free through my network provider, and this year they didn't do that, so I've had to pay.
Pay. So
I'm happy to do it.
You've got a paid Apple on your bank statement. Screenshot.
You might self-combust. Oh no.
Yes, exactly.
It's to do. It's the tax deduction too. Let's just go.
That's good.
So we're going to start off with some gear, and for us on the Apple side of things, that'd be me and Andrew. It's 16E day, and I was waiting to undo this box. So talk amongst yourselves while I do it. The 16E's landed with me because I know, Andrew, you're picking yours up a little bit later today, aren't you?
Yeah. I'll be getting it pretty much after this podcast. I'll pop in the car and go get it. Yeah.
I did see the delivery driver outside just drop this as well. All of the parts he was carrying just went all over the road, and I thought, okay, that's only an iPhone. Why bother? Don't worry, mate.
Yeah.
So
Fair point.
I'm not filming this. I'm not filming this either. I did decide this is for podcast listeners and viewers only. Well, for your listener, it's not actually very good quality audio, I've got to say, me tearing some tabs on the box. But, well, there you go. A black iPhone 16E. How terribly exciting. But I'm looking forward to using it. So, yeah, typical, minimal, nothing in, just a cable.
I mean, have you used an iPhone before?
I've dabbled.
So you've used the iPhone 16 SE. That's pretty much the summation of it.
And Andrew, yes, we are still SIM cards here. I've just looked, has got a SIM tray in over here, so we're not all eSIM yet. Because you're picking us up after the pod, aren't you, Sid?
Yeah.
And in fact, you're meeting Mr. Riverside, aren't you, Stephen Robles?
He will be there as well. Yeah, we actually have a briefing with Apple, and from what I understand, they'll be giving me, hopefully I get a white color. But so that'll be my first Apple product from them, which is cool. So it's definitely a big milestone for me.
Big day.
Yeah. Awesome.
Do you know how long you get to keep it for? Or?
No, I'll find out and let you guys know. I'm going to assume 6 months, but who knows?
Yeah. I know in the UK they did a briefing yesterday. Obviously, I was not invited, but I know some UK friends went there yesterday.
Wonder why.
Yeah, it was funny though that the couple of creators I spoke to are fairly Apple safe channels, so they're I mean it's fair enough. Right? They just love the products and do a good job at it. But yeah, I obviously won't get that invite. But it's in Battersea, the UK London.
I'll be there Monday.
Yeah, so expect to see some reviews soon. I was gonna get one this morning from the store, but I'm traveling tomorrow and I realize my flight is really early, so I'm kind of just trying to get as much content as possible. But I will try and get one in Spain while I'm there, so we'll see. There's one reason why I want the 16E, just to try the new modem. Is it the C1 modem?
Yeah, that's what.
Because that's a real problem, and I wondered, and I'm assuming that the iPhone 17 series will have that new modem. Yeah. So it'd be good to see how good that is on the 16E, just to see, is it better than the 16 Pro, for example? Because if it is, then that's the only reason I want to test that phone.
Absolutely, the modem has me really curious because obviously the 16E, it really isn't for any of us. It's not really for most people. It's not really for anyone. I've kind of concluded like who's this for, and I look at it more for businesses still having a
Corporate, yeah.
9 to 5 job, being in corporate. That's like the perfect phone. Plus, they
Yeah.
get carrier deals, bulk deals, so that's gonna be
Agree.
the way to go.
I think it'd be a
But
good buy later, like at
yeah,
Black Friday deals and what when it comes down to maybe below $500. That
yeah,
might be a decent. I could recommend it then, but I think right now, when the
Yeah, I'm
15 Pro
guessing.
exists, it doesn't make a lot of sense financially. I don't think.
No, I mean, you're kind of trading. You're getting an Apple Intelligence phone. You're getting the A17 chip. I've written a piece about it as well. There's all kind of trades. They very carefully marketed it. So there's £100 gap between the 16E that I've got, the 15, which goes up another £100, and then to the 16, which is another £100. So the cheapest way you can get into Apple Intelligence at the moment, whatever that might or may not mean right now. But I think it's the iPad mini. But then the cheapest phone, obviously, you can get into Apple Intelligence with is the 16E. But you're right, it's going to be a corporate sales thing for sure. And they've raided the parts bin. I think the camera, for the people, the camera, as you said, Andrew, it's not really for us. If you're the sort of person that knows what ProRes and log is, you're not going to be buying this phone. That's not for you. It's going to be the sort of phone that you use to take pictures of food in a restaurant, kids on holiday, on the beach, blah, blah, blah. It's a general family kind of point and shoot brigade phone,
It's
isn't
something
it? That's
you
what it's
give
for.
your parent, or you give it as a parent, right? It's one of those
Yeah,
that goes to a
right.
kid or goes to a kind of someone who doesn't really care about all the tech. However, at the moment, I'd still say get something which gives you more, even though you're not gonna use it. I'd say it's still better to give someone a Pro or even the
Yeah.
15, the iPhone 15, the regular.
yeah.
It would be much better value, I think.
I mean, I would go with either the 13 Pro or 14 Pro. You can get that on Amazon really cheap. So
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
a little bit, to be honest, disappointed with the price. I thought Apple missed a big opportunity with it not being, what is it, $499? I think that would have been, if it could have been like
Yeah.
$429, that would have been perfect. But
But
they're not
then
going to do that.
No, I think they kind of listening that they knew that the couple of things that people really wanted. They wanted Face ID and they wanted to do away with Touch ID, and that's not a cheap component to put in. So and also a better screen, because I think the SE had just an HD display, whereas obviously now this has got the OLED display. Two fairly expensive items, and you've got to say if they're launching a phone now, it's got to be ready to last for the next. Because again, people that buy that phone aren't going to be looking to change regularly. It's going to
Right.
last
No,
them 4,
I
5,
only
6, 7, 8
watched
years.
a couple of reviews. Marquez was one, and I think Dave 2D. And I was kind of looking at what they were talking about the price. David didn't say too much, but I think Marquez had this theory of maybe it's a way of Apple almost getting you to kind of step up the ladder. So you look at $600 16E and go, hang on, there's only a couple of hundred more to get an actual 16 or the Pro. So yeah, I can see that being a bit of a pricing strategy. There's obviously been inflation and whatever in the last few years
Sure,
since
yeah.
the SE. However, it's a massive bump for
I
what you're
also,
getting, I think.
Yeah, I think the days. Well, I think there's two things that were quite clear about this, and Marquez sounds like he's obviously read my story I posted yesterday, because I
Not
pretty
to
much
mention
wrote
Android
that.
devices that they haven't mentioned, but yeah, never mind.
Well, I haven't watched Marquez for the very same reason that you two guys didn't watch the S25 video. I saw it was up last night, and I didn't want to watch it for obvious reasons. I want to make my own conclusions. But I think the days of small Apple phones, iPhones, are gone, and I also think the days of cheap iPhones are gone. I think they've decided, right, and kind of leaning into what we were talking about on the last podcast, that Apple have decided they are this premium brand. Whether you agree with that, they've decided that's their lane. And if you want to buy into Apple, you're going to pay that extra £100, $100 to get this phone. And I think that's the kind of line they're taking. And as you say, then it's the gateway phone. Hopefully you get that and you say, oh, I quite like it. Oh, it works with the Mac. It works with my, oh, well, let's try the 16 Pro maybe. It is a gateway phone just to hook people in. And as you say, as parents, you'll be giving these to your kids, and you know what it's like. They start using it. They've got all their photos in iCloud.
Yeah. Thing is, I
history builds
kind of
up young, doesn't it?
disagree with you on that, because I'd say, for example, the Mac Mini, right, which is another gateway product. If you buy the $600 Mac Mini, the base model, that's a fantastic gateway. Like you get that, and then you
It's
get
so
other
good.
things to go with it.
Right.
But I'd say on that, Apple actually delivered a lot of value for $600, whereas on the iPhone 16e, I just don't see it. It's still a gateway product, like you're saying, but it would have been a better $450 price rather than
Right.
600.
Do you think that's because the Mac Mini sits in a category of devices where there's not as much performance in that price bracket that matches what the Mac Mini offers, whereas at $600 US for phones, you could throw a dart out the window and get
You'll find anything better, yeah.
on a spec sheet or just on a, product, you'll find something with gives you more for the money that you're spending.
Whereas with the cheapest Samsung start at is that the SEs?
You don't want to go to the cheapest. The cheapest Samsungs are like nothing.
Really?
And they'll be terrible phones. You wouldn't want them.
Okay, so the SE, is that fair? No, not the SE. It's the FE, isn't it?
The fan edition. Yeah, the fan edition at $599 US, triple camera, ultra wide, 50 megapixel main, 3 times telephoto, AMOLED 120 hertz display, on screen under display fingerprint scanner, 4,700 milliamp hour battery, and 6.7 inch display, and it just offers you a lot. Now, the processor is not going to be the A18. It's last year's flagship processor, so it's decent because it was released last year. But the thing is, like, I've done some reflecting.
The borders are not that. Yeah.
Oh, the borders are not that
much bigger.
The thing I've been thinking about is at $599. I made this point in my S25 versus S25 Ultra video. When someone's walking into a phone shop to upgrade their plan that they've had for 5 years, they're just going, "Oh, what's the latest iPhone?" And they just upgrade from that to that. And if they get shown the latest iPhone at $599, they're like, "Easy, I'll just upgrade to the latest, cheapest iPhone."
Right.
They wouldn't look at anything else. They're not interested. And I think there's a bit of laziness that comes in from the salesperson. This is when I used to work at Samsung. What I hated the most is there was no effort from the salesperson to try and like provide more value to the customer. They would just give them what they wanted. But why would you? When you've got a customer wanting to buy a new phone and you get a big tick next to your sat, why would you put in more effort than required? And that's just the status quo. And that's just, I guess, what Apple sort of bank on is that they know that they've got this lock on people. So they can sort of put that little bit of a premium on. They're an aspirational brand. People want to use their products. So they have a upgrade story. Like if they put a triple camera on the 16E, why would you then go buy
you wouldn't
16
buy 16
or a 16 Pro? So like they've got a very clear distinction and an upgrade pathway. And from a business sense, it's very astute. It's very astute. But from a consumer standpoint, if they literally just turn their head like 1 degree, they'd see the phone next to it and go, "Oh, that 15 Pro's the same price, and isn't that offering me more?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, it is." But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around it from not trying to look at it from an angry Samsung fan view.
I look at it too. So the way they named it confuses me. Because if they started out with it just being an SE4 and it's going to be for the next 10 years, they're not going to do anything to it, $600 in 10 years isn't going to be bad. But the fact that they named it a 16E makes me think there's going to be a 17E and an 18E, and it's going to keep going. So I wonder if they're kind of starting with the pricing being $600 for the 16E now, knowing that in a year they're going to discount it and bring it to the lineup and maybe get rid of like the 16 next year. Because, they're going to have more phones than ever if they're going to introduce this iPhone 17 Air. Now they have the 17E, the 17, the 17 Pro, and, whether we get a Pro Max or an Ultra or whatever, the lineup is just a full, I think it's maybe, I don't think next year, maybe 3 years. I think
it's going to be a 2-year cycle, I reckon, on that phone, the Mini phone. I think it's a 2-year cycle. And then also, when you mentioned the Air, because they're going to be using the modem. Yeah, well, with the foldable, I don't know, again, Andrew, I'd be interested in your take on this. If we're getting the Air this year, in my mind, a thin phone inevitably leads to a folding phone, because if you've got a thin display, you can fold it, and then you've got the foldable. So I think all of this is a test bed. This is a test bed for the modem, for the Pros and the Air later this year, and the Air is going to be the test bed for the foldable probably next year, maybe.
Yeah, from what we're hearing about the foldable, it's going to be the first one without a crease. I'm not into foldables too much, so I don't know. Is there any that don't have a crease, or do they all?
They're starting to come up.
So the technology is pretty much there now. So Apple usually hits it around this time if they end up doing it. I don't think they're going to do a phone. I think they'll do an iPad, make it like ridiculous. I don't know, like when you unfold it, it's like 20 inches or something crazy. I just don't think the phone market to them really is worth it. I don't know.
I think you're right. Just recently, I think it was January, I went to it was one of these, launch events, and it was, the brand was called Honor. Very, very startup sort of in the West. They're kind of growing in Asia. But one of the things that I asked the guy who was there, kind of representing the brand, was, is foldables a kind of an area that you see growth in Europe or in America? And they said not as much as in Asia. In Asia is a big thing. People like the bigger screens. It's something that they kind of, there's a trifold now, right? With Huawei, I think. It looks insane.
Yeah, it looks cool.
And some of the brands are now, once you open the fold, there's a mechanism to stretch the display so that the crease basically just goes away.
The crease.
And I think you're right. I think Apple is probably just waiting for the tech to be there for them to come up with their very Apple sort of way of doing things.
Yeah, and they'll do it like no one, they'll make it seem like folds never existed before.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know how they operate, and
that's
so
where
good.
they win out. Their marketing, even for the Apple haters, you got to say their marketing machine is, because you want to buy, because their marketing makes everything look so good.
But then you'd honestly think that a modem has never existed before, with the way everyone's talking about this C1 modem.
Right.
Like, oh, modem, man, modems have been around for years.
Modem until I heard the new C1 modem made by Apple, and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. I
remember the noise that a modem makes. That's how old I am.
I'm guessing a lot of people probably didn't recognize the fact there was a modem in a phone until Apple started saying, exactly, that is the joy. So, well, in actual fact, Andrew, when you're at your store today, let us know how busy it is around the store looking at the 16E, because I'm going to look on London on Monday and see if there's much traction to it, see if it's gaining any interest or not.
Yeah, I'll ask about sales and stuff. I wouldn't anticipate there being like lines or anything, to be honest. There's usually like, I have a very small local store. So today I'm going to the Orlando one, but there's one in Brandon that's a opposite way, that's an hour away as well. And I think there was like maybe 300 people there for the iPhone 16, which is surprising. Like you wouldn't expect that many people at just a small Apple store on launch day. But today I don't think there's going to be many people.
Before we start talking about S25 and the result, how you two boys been finding that, just going slightly off top, the Brandon store, it's attacking my brain. Was that one of the stores that was the first to unionize? There's a reason I know the name of the Brandon store.
I don't know.
I can't think what it would be. I'm sure it was one of those stores that, when Apple went through this whole thing that staff were looking to go union. And I've got a feeling Brandon was one of those.
I don't think it was the Brandon one. I don't think that was in Florida. But because I would have double check.
I don't know why I've heard of it. You just said that store, but anyway, that's me. That's just me trying to scratch the.
There's a new flagship store in Miami, though, right? That they literally just launched this year. Yeah. Did you go to that?
Yeah, they invited me to see an early preview, which was cool. It was awesome. That was like my first foot in the door with them. And it was a big deal because that was the first retail store in America for a really long time. I think it was like maybe 8 years, something like that. Right. So it's been a while. And, a new Apple store goes up every day in other countries, but here it's been a while. It's really cool. If you're ever in the Miami area, David's not really Alex and Dana. You probably wouldn't want to go. But
no, I think it's a nice store. Other brands should learn from that. I think having a physical presence is quite important for consumers. So yeah.
And with the 16E, you walk into an Apple store and you just want to know the cheapest phone. That's how they're going to sell it, right? It doesn't matter that it's $600 to them. Android doesn't exist. To if you're in Apple's realm, there is no other phone. There's no other cheap phone. So it's very easy for them to gain customers. What?
It's the same with this thing, right? I've just been trying the PowerBeats.
Yeah. Do you like them?
I do like it, but the hype was way over. I mean, it's a good pair of earbuds, and they stay on. That's kind of it. So, in comparison to other, even
but it has colors. It's
got that as well, yeah. But it's in terms of audio quality, it's not even close. I don't think even to the AirPods Pro. I'd prefer that.
I heard people were saying AirPods Pro, they weren't as good as they were, better than AirPods Pro 2, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
Those. Yeah.
I mean, it's a different sound profile, definitely more bassy, but I think overall is that it does the great job it does is, you know, if you go for a run with it and listening to music, it will do a brilliant job at it. It's not better though if you get the AirPods Pro to stay on, and if you get which for me they do, the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. For me, that's much better. Yeah, which is this one here.
Yeah, I got them too.
Yeah, and better audio quality too. So I think it's yeah. I thought let's see what the fuss is all about. Yeah, they're brilliant.
And let's swing it around to the because you've had the 25s now for a few weeks. How are things trolling along there? What's it like?
I like
Love it. Well, yeah, as an Apple focused channel, is this your first foray into like the Samsung side of things?
It isn't. I had the S23 Ultra and I really liked it. It was really good. Phone. Yeah, from what I understand, that was the best Samsung phone. Because I'm not too much into the world, but that phone was really good, and it almost made me really want to switch, like try to switch, but with the way that views went, it just didn't gain much traction. But the S25 Ultra doing, you know, I was like, you know what? Brands are reaching out about it. If they can pay for the phone, I might as well get the phone. And I needed a new, you know, I don't want to just be Apple focused when it comes to cell phones. I want to try everything. But this was like, you know what, let me try it. I'll get it. And the video did really well, but it has the iPhone perspective to it that makes my viewers go, I'm interested. And I kind of give this, you know, it's very close to the 16 Pro Max. Like, you've seen software for both of them starting to get closer. I mean, the Galaxy AI is just way better than Apple Intelligence. I don't even think Apple Intelligence right now can be considered AI. It's still in beta. It's just not there yet. It may be in 2 years, but it's hard to compare. And then there's just little features that, like, while I was using it, it's like, oh, I didn't realize quick share is actually pretty good. You know, you hear a lot about AirDrop. Quick share is really good. I didn't realize that. I love the Now Brief, thumbprint. You know, there's little things that I would love to see come to iPhone. I don't know if stuff like that ever will. But I did feel in my video, like, if you're an iPhone user and you're at the point where you're a bit bored with the iPhone, we have to stop this like crazy loyalty. You're your own person. You can buy whatever phone you want. And so I went with the approach of, look, if you want to try the S25 Ultra and switch, just do it. Like, nothing, you know, it's not going to be a huge problem. And if you don't like it, switch back, you know, if you can, right? You know, not everybody's blessed enough to get a phone like that as easily, but I just felt like it's a really good phone. And, you know, if you want to switch. If not, you know, you can't really hate on it. Yeah. It's a good phone.
So, yeah, it's so true. I mean, so many people in my comments talk about the kind of both directions. Some people were like, I was just bored with Android, and they tried the iPhone for a bit, you know, and they were actually feeling refreshed and pretty much, I mean, 2021, I think, is when I've revisited Samsung phones, and that then kind of opened my eyes to Pixels and other Android. But yeah, you're right. There's a point where, and I see comments going the other way, going, you know, I wasn't really interested in Android, and I watched this video and I kind of wanted to try it. I think you're right. You know, that loyalty thing is very strong, but there's also a functionality perspective, right? If your family and friends are all on iPhones, is a hard sell to say, you know, buy something different, because whether you like it or not, sharing across ecosystems is just a nightmare. Possible, but not.
Do you guys
as easy.
really not use iMessage? Is that really a thing?
Not as much. Yeah, messaging is
so interesting, because we have WhatsApp here, and I hear everybody uses WhatsApp, but I don't like WhatsApp at all. And you have Telegram, but I don't like Telegram. And I'm not exaggerating when I say, like, everyone in my family, not just my wife's family, my family has iPhone. I think I know, like, personally, maybe one Android user. and they don't even upgrade like us. You know, they have like maybe the S21. They don't even have the latest flagship. So it's hard for Android in America. I think it's you know, Samsung. It's hard for them because Apple's done a good job of just making it the phone here. So
yeah, we've spoken about this before, that iMessage is almost the hook, isn't it? In the States, it's the iMessage is the thing because WhatsApp's not big. It's crazy, certainly here, and you know this, Alex, that most people turn to WhatsApp before iMessage. I'm perfectly happy with iMessage. It works, does everything I need to do. You know, I can transfer videos, pics, blah, 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 blah. But most people, even my daughter that's got an iPhone, still WhatsApps me. The only time she uses iMessage is for the family group.
Especially when it's more than one person. If it's a one-to-one, I think I use messages a lot because I come from a time where WhatsApp didn't exist. So I'm kind of used to using SMS. But yeah, if it's 2-3 people, more than 2 people, is default to WhatsApp rather than the group messaging on iMessage. I don't actually think I've got any group messaging on iMessage.
Man, my chat situation's a mess over here. When you're in, like, I'm a football coach now. Like you, Alex, you coach your son's football team, right? Yeah. When you're part of a football club and you have like group messages, there's different apps for different parts of the messaging. There's a coaching chat, and that's in one app, and then the team chat's in another app, and then there's a parents chat that's in another one. Like it's just a mess. But I've never really, like, I know people are in iMessage in Australia, but they're also way more accepting of the fact that if you don't have an iPhone, we'll just set up a WhatsApp group. And like the work culture is WhatsApp groups. Like it's just pretty much, that's what it's built around on here in Australia.
Yeah. In Brazil, actually, in South America, I think.
Brazil's crazy for WhatsApp. Yeah.
And kind of leading on from that also, it's weird the way FaceTime has never taken off. Well, it hasn't really taken off, but certainly, again, for any groups, people, even Mac users, never turn to FaceTime. It's odd, isn't it? You know, you have any business meetings, most people are going to be Teams or Zoom.
Yeah.
It's weird. It just hasn't taken off. And it's a perfectly stable, you know, it works well. And certainly I know you can now send links to PC users and Android users. Yeah, I don't know how easy and seamless that is, because the slightest amount of buffer, people are going to say, no, screw that, I don't want to do that. It's just easy to go on Teams. But it's just weird. FaceTime doesn't seem to have really, apart from personal calls.
Yeah, I think it's because here in the States, I think there's policies with, it might not be defined, but if you're paying for Microsoft, you're not going to host a call with FaceTime. So like, you know, corporations are either buying Zoom or Teams. So you're just going to use that tool. I think FaceTime into like the corporate world, it's probably only Apple that uses FaceTime. Like, to be honest.
Lasso. In Ted Lasso, everyone is.
Yeah. I only watched season 1. I didn't finish it. So
it's very Apple focused.
I struggled hard with Ted Lasso with how unrealistic the football side was.
Oh, I was
like, there's so much more that they could be doing here, and they just bypass it all. I'm like, there'd be like 100 coaches, but the fact it's just 2 coaches and they're like a squad of 18 players. I'm like, no.
Very unfit
Come on.
Footballers, one day.
It's one of the few Apple TV programs, funnily enough, that I've never got. That and Severance, which are the 2 big ones.
Oh, Severance. I just finished season 1.
Did you watch episode 7, season 2? Wait,
I'm going to take my headphones off
today, so don't tell me.
Oh, okay. I watched it last night. Man, oh, dude, this show's getting good. It's crazy.
It's good.
It's weird because that's the 2 things. I'm a big Apple TV user. I watch so many of the things. But you're safe. Welcome back in the room. Mind you, you've got a real episode coming up, mate. Honestly, you won't believe what just happened. But Apple TV, I'm a huge fan of. It's just those 2. And Ted Lasso, oddly, I think, is filmed just down because it's based around Richmond Football Club. Is right? Is that right?
Which is a fictional club.
Yeah, but Richmond, the town, is kind of 30 minutes away from where I am. It's odd. Cool. They have all the places they
It was
could
really
have been.
well made. I mean, the storyline is great. I think season 3 was a bit crap, but yeah, it's quite. I watch it with my son now. It's just old enough to understand what's going on. But yeah, that was good. There's some players that are based on real characters, like
Zlatan, Roy Keane,
Zlatan.
Yeah, excellent. And the guy, Jamie's Jack Grealish, or I think they said a few players, but mainly Jack Grealish. Anyway, Prime Target is another one of those series I'm just getting into at the moment, and that is another.
Is it?
Hijack was good.
Really good.
Yeah, Hijack was good.
Oh, Hijack. Oh,
you guys watch Slow Horses?
Yes.
That one's
Not
real
yet.
good.
Not yet.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that to me that one is. But it's 5 seasons already, and they're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
stopping. And every
They're
season is
cracking them
good.
out.
It's
Gary
good.
Oldman in that is
Yeah,
stunning,
he's
isn't
so
he?
good.
Yeah,
Yeah. You gotta watch it.
And again, if you want to talk about local, Slough House, which is in Slough, I was born in Slough, and not something I would normally boast about, I grant you. But Alex, you'll exactly understand why I wouldn't ever.
Yes.
It's kind of a place that was once written in a poem that the only good thing that could happen to Slough is if it was flattened by a bomb. But and that's probably not far from the truth. And I come from Slough. I was schooled in Slough, so I can say that. But anyway,
Slough and
before we get
Swindon
into
is the two,
exactly, yeah. And before we get into pivoting into YouTube stuff, have you boys got anything you wanted to say about your last 2-3 weeks? I know tomorrow's a embargo day, is it? Is that right? Is
Yeah,
there something
there's
happening?
a new.
Yeah.
I can say that there's a new product coming out from Samsung, and there will be it will be on the channel tomorrow. Hopefully, if I don't lose anything else, yeah.
And
I do want to ask really quick with what's coming out with Samsung. Are you guys excited for the Edge?
Yeah, I am.
Yes.
The thin phone, right?
Yeah, I think I am.
Foldable, yeah.
I think I am for the Edge just because we've been asking for new form factors and new design, and the whole market's getting stale. Smartphones reached a peak, and finally something different seems to sort of be coming, at least in the slab sense. So to not be excited about it would be a little bit hypocritical from my side. So I guess I am. I don't think it's a phone that is my demographic. I am all in on foldables, big screen phones that do a lot of things. But yes, I'm excited to get and see how it feels in my hand. I got to see it at Unpacked. Not in hand, it was hanging like this slither from like a fish hook, and it looked nice. So I'm just keen to get it in
is
the
it a
hand and see
teaser
how it
or is it
feels.
actually due for release?
No, it's definitely coming. But it just there's no information on anything other than what the picture of it or the hardware.
There was also a bit of an Easter egg, right, in that Unpacked with a
Definitely.
trifold format, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Maybe again, as David was saying, maybe that thinner model is the kind of the gateway to another foldable. But
And there's also the I can't remember the name of it, but the Vision Pro for Samsung. Are you guys excited? Excited for
Android
that as well?
XR.
Yeah.
Android XR. Yes. I remember when Samsung did Gear VR 12 years ago, and like back then I'm just struggling with the concept of a headset because it's an extra step to do something. Like you have to plug it in, put something on your face, and then you're constantly immersed in that world and get blocked off. And I know they've got the cameras that can connect you.
But they don't.
I
have the Vision Pro. It's never felt right around people. And even if I have it on, it's just not comfortable with my family. I want to be having a 3-year-old. I want to be really careful about tech anyways with him, just because of the addiction side. So I don't even go around. When I use Vision Pro, I'm not around anyone. Usually it's late at night. The good thing is Apple has been pumping out a lot more immersive content. There's apparently like some Bono movie, which I don't really care about that. Yeah, but that'll be interesting. They do have good TV shows. It's great for movies. But other than that, it just...
Do you work on it at all? Do you put the Mac screen up on it?
No. It's cool. The like new display that can like wrap around you. But no, I haven't worked in it.
Good for travel, right? I guess if you're a business traveler, it's awesome, right? And there'll be like that hour or 2 hours you got to relax, put that on and enjoy some travel scenery or whatever. But yeah, it's
is that worth $3,500?
No, I don't think so. No.
And
that's the whole point,
XR,
right?
have they given any idea of pricing?
They haven't. No, I think they're the only person that I've seen actually get to use it is Marquez. He got it at Unpacked, and he made a video about it. He said he did. Oh, he said it addressed some of the pain points that he had about the Vision Pro. And he said that the Google Assistant or Gemini is on board, which actually makes it
Better.
AI smart and better already in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no information about pricing, when it's coming out. They did say it was going to ship this year. So that's the only thing that he said in his video, is that Samsung did say it's going to ship in 2025. But I don't know. I'm just struggling to see, like, I feel like it's a dance we've done before. Like, and I know Gear VR was a substantially inferior product to what Vision Pro is, but the concept hasn't changed. Like, it's a headset that you wear where you get immersed in another environment and for entertainment purposes. And at $150, the Gear VR headset didn't work back then. And even with all the advancements in technology, it just feels like a history repeating itself, and brands are now rushing to do it just because Apple have popularized it. I don't know.
I do
I'm in a
think
weird
Apple
space about it.
entering it does make the market a little bit more serious.
Absolutely.
Meta has become way more serious in it. And so they're going to try and find even cheaper ways to cut down so that Vision Pro never really, maybe to even discourage Apple. I do think Apple's goal with this, probably Samsung's too, are definitely glasses. I don't think anybody really wants a headset. But glasses that are kind of like the Meta Ray-Bans, but where it can show your apps and give you updates and just be like, just incredibly useful. I feel like that technology is where it's all heading.
Well, it needs to, like the smartwatches, it needs to take an existing product and make it smart, as opposed to inventing a new category for people to try and wear, because people will wear glasses, people wear watches. And that's kind of, people have adapted smartwatches in because, well, I'll just replace my normal watch with a smartwatch. And if you can replace a pair of glasses with like a pair of AR or smart glasses, I feel like that's a more seamless transition. But you got to start somewhere. I get it.
Yeah,
it's just,
I'm guessing this is we're at a point in an era which is a stepping stone, right? That this what we're seeing at the moment. All of that tech is going to, as you say, slim itself down to glasses eventually. But I guess we've just got to go through those pain points right now.
Yeah, like look at the cell phone, like how bulky they used to be, no screen, terrible back in the 90s. But 20 years later, the iPhone kind of set the tone for smartphones, and pretty much they look the same. Like they're not, they're faster. They're definitely bigger, slimmer bezels. But the iPhone 1 and then whatever it was called, and today's iPhone, it's the
Still
same.
recognizable. Yeah.
Almost 20 years later. So maybe once we get to glasses, that'll be the shift. And then, you'll see that technology really won't change for 20, 30 years. So it's interesting.
And,
I think tech right now is a fun place to be in. I think there's a lot of very cool stuff going on, and it's easy to hate and criticize brands, or I play into it a little bit with like, they copied Apple or whatever, but Apple copies Samsung, and copying's good because we end up consumers getting
agree,
the best products possible.
You really should get yourself a job as a podcast host, because that's a beautiful segue. Apparently, tech is dead. So should we just pack up the channels now and just trot on?
Sorry,
should we do cooking channels or
tech reviews?
Tech reviews.
Tech reviews are dead. Sorry.
Well, look, you two can certainly do football channels. Andrew, what else? I'm just thinking.
I can do a football channel, and I played soccer, so I could talk about how to get into playing college soccer or something like that. I can give that aspect. So
damn good. We've all got other strings to our bow. I'm going to do a cooking channel. Right, job's a good one. Right.
Oh, nice.
Okay, it's been nice. It's been nice, this tech space, but it's now dead.
Why is it dead?
Take this one.
Who told us that it was dead?
Somebody looks about as old as me. Alex, do you want to take the reins on this one? Go on. You had a nice little chat about it.
Basically, we've got someone who works at YouTube at the moment, I think. Rene is his name, and he kind of criticized tech reviews in general as a whole niche.
On his personal channel.
Yeah, on his personal channel, to be fair. So that shouldn't be related to his YouTube role. But I think before we do that, before we talk about that, I think it would be useful for us to kind of, because we've all been doing this for at least, 2-3 years, kind of, it'd be good for us to kind of share with our community what has helped us, maybe just one tip each, and then we'll talk about what just happened, because I think it's easy to criticize anything, right? And I've fell far of that before. But I think when you do that and you don't offer anything in return, it's like, or, you know, or any better alternatives, it's kind of a, well, no, you just.
And when you say help, you're meaning help as in helping the channel to just anything that's helped us in our journey. Yeah.
So for example, I would say for me, well, save your files on 2 SD cards rather than 1. That would be one one valuable lesson. But I think more useful stuff like, you know, spend enough time before creating the video working on the theme and the topic and the thumbnail so that when you are actually recording to camera, your brain is already connecting the image of the thumbnail and the title, because then you will, even though you're a script, even when you're writing the script for the video, if you do that, I think when you've got a clear idea of what the title and thumbnail will be, even if you've got like 2 or 3 options, it's easy then to change it later and still deliver as a package. Because, you know, in hundreds of my videos, I left the thumbnail and the title as the last thing to do. And yeah, it's tricky because retention will not work as well, because people go, hang on, I clicked for this thumbnail and title, but the actual video is for something else. In some cases that actually works, because, you know, in a clickbaity style video, that might actually work when you deliver then in the content. But in a lot of cases, people think that they clicked on something, got something else, and they'll drop off. So I think that would be my one nugget of help.
Daniel, where are you going?
So I had in my mind to talk about equipment, like get a good lighting setup, make sure you get a good microphone, and like tick those 2 things off before you start, or if you're at the start of your journey. But I'm going to change, because if we're talking about the advice of tech review is dead, don't just read a spec sheet. I ignore that, because that's terrible advice. Because what you should be doing is finding what you're passionate talking about and hone in on it with really great authority. Like, and if you are passionate about the tech and the specs, then that's what you start with. And then as you grow, you can sort of organically branch out and introduce other areas. But if that is your comfortability starting point, because you're knowledgeable about it and you're passionate about talking about it, then go with that. Like, and if you are doing it in a way that people resonate with, then why should you not do that? Just because some guy tells you not to? Like, F off. I really could say the F word there. Can I drop the F bomb?
Do it. It's a podcast.
Fuck off. So for me, I think like yes, what he says is, oh, everyone does a spec sheet, but I don't think everyone does it in a way that is unique to you. Like, if you're got a unique voice in that aspect, then you do that. Yeah. So my advice is, and I certainly have done it in my channel, is find my unique voice about a topic I'm passionate about, hone in on it, and use that as your passion point to drive you forward. And if it happens to be a certain thing, then you do that, and you just make yourself the best at it. That's my advice.
I agree.
And Andrew?
Good one.
Yeah, I can definitely echo what Daniel said. Like, before I got into doing tech reviews, I had always loved Apple tech. So having a Apple focused channel really just made sense once I kind of figured out my niche and what I wanted to create. Because in the beginning, you don't know, you kind of try different videos out. You know, I did shoes, I did a couple other things. Like, oh, maybe I want this.
So did Alex, actually. He did shoes.
Yeah, because it's like, because I thought, you know, maybe I want to do unboxings. That's not really a good idea. So then as you kind of grow into what you want to do, you figure out like, well, I've always liked this area of tech. Like, I've always enjoyed Apple and what they do. Why not just make those videos? And as I got better and better and better, I don't know if this is advice, but it's just like, I'm passionate about it. I think people can tell. I'm not phony about it. I'm probably a little bit gracious to Apple, where I could be more critical, but I'm not, you know, blind. I know stuff they do wrong. I can see where, you know, they could improve or just make it better for the consumer. But at the same time, it's something that people watch. I like making the videos, so I just keep doing it. And I would say, if you're hearing that tech reviews are dead, and you're kind of wanting to start a YouTube channel, don't believe any of that.
Exactly.
You just start the channels, you know, whatever phone you have, use that as your camera. Whatever tech you have in your house, just make a video on it. Like at first when I was doing it, I didn't have necessarily that many Apple products to talk about. So I just talked about long-term reviews, and I couldn't buy new Apple products. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make a video on cases. And it's just like you have to, that's the goal, or kind of the fun of being a creator, is just thinking of different ways that you can create and do different things. And yeah, like reading a spec sheet, but you can make it different. It doesn't have to be reading a spec sheet and just putting it on a screen. That I don't really get that. That, you know, how I use it, my use case, how it could be beneficial for you. This doing the S25 Ultra, you know, Daniel, he's used Samsung for years. What is it for an iPhone user to switch? So I give a perspective, whereas, you know, he gives a perspective of yearly upgrades or something different. So we're all unique. All of our channels are unique. So to say that like tech reviews are dead just because it's a little stagnant, maybe with the top guys or the big channels, you know, there's a lot of channels 500K below subscribers that are incredible, doing amazing things. And I don't know. I think tech's fun. I think the creator community for tech is fun. Maybe not so much on Twitter, but the videos are the YouTube space for videos is great. Yeah,
I agree.
Before you go, David.
Yeah.
Like if you were to listen, and this particularly applies to you and Andrew, David, if you guys were to listen to what he said about tech reviews are dead, and you look at how many Apple focused channels there are, before you started, you both would have been like, oh, this is too daunting. There's too many other people in the Apple space. I'll never be able to cut through and have a voice there. But both of you have found your way of doing it, and you've cut through the space. Like you've both found a different, unique angle. Like it's just insane to me that you can put out there that tech reviews are dead. That's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, I think I think all three of you mentioned it. Passion clearly is a thing. And then I think also just finding your voice. You know, I took a long time to find almost literally just the cadence and the delivery and what the people that were bothering to tune into me want, but they are there. It's not a case of it being too crowded or dead. There's still new products. There's still views on older products. And the older products we got are still great devices. And just because we happen to have had them for a year doesn't mean that somebody isn't aspiring to go and buy a new phone next weekend and want to hear somebody that's passionate about it as saying what it's like to use. We're in entertainment, we know that. And some of it is validation for somebody that's saved up a lot of money and worked hard to go and buy something. And they want to feel good about that. Why shouldn't we provide them with some perspective on that? Use your voice, use your energy. And I think importantly, tell a story. And that's the one thing I've really learned. And Alex, you were saying about writing. As you know, writing is the first thing I do all the time. It starts as a blog anyway. But just tell a story. Tell a story of how that phone came into your life, how it is to use, what you're using it for, how it goes with your tablet, how it fits into your home life, whatever. Tell a story. And if you can tell a story to people, I honestly think that's the way that they'll believe in you, because when I watch creators that I love, it's because they let me into their life. I feel for that 10, 15 minutes, or in my case, about 35 minutes these days, I can't seem to stop talking. But I think you'll let them into your life and your home, and they want that energy from you. And if you can put that across in a video, I don't believe that tech review videos are dead in any way, shape or form. There's some great tech out there. Look at the stuff we've been talking about today. There's some awesome products out there. And,
totally.
And tech reviews die if we don't make the videos, right? So as long as we're making videos and people are liking and commenting and interested in tech, they're alive. And
exactly,
you know, it's interesting the impact that we don't realize we have on people. Like I remember one guy commented like, you know, watching your videos, the brightest part of my week, something along the lines. And that's like really weird to think about.
Awesome.
That like all the hard work that I did into making a video, that when you post and you're like, oh, please don't be a 10 out of 10. Like just please be, you know, please have some views. Please hopefully someone watches it. And then to get a comment like that, like, okay, maybe it's my personality. It's not even the tech itself. Maybe it's just my voice or whatever. But if I'm able to, you know, impact someone's life like that, that means something. And it goes beyond just, hey, look at the camera.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Even pared down from that, I do a free video newsletter for members that sign up on my website. It's just, and every Sunday it lands at 2:00. And I had the loveliest comment from somebody that's been watching it for 2 or 3 years now. And just said, I know no matter how bad the week's been, 2:00 on a Sunday, your newsletter's going to drop.
That's cool.
I just thought, you know, for the 40 minutes it takes me to make and put that online, it's so worth it.
Yeah.
You know, not all people watch it. There's, you know, it's not a big membership at all, but I will never stop making it because it clearly is just a little, you know, and that's the thing. We're all in entertainment and we all brighten up people's days. People look forward to the video. You know, it's not, I'm not saying that in a flex or an ego boost way at all. We sit down, we put in a lot of yards, we put in a lot of effort, time to making these videos. But we know they do make a difference. We do know that people are interested in looking at how the S25 has been over the last month, how it compares to the phone that they've currently got. Should they think about change from the S23 to the S20? And we know that people just want to sit down. You know, people go and work damn hard and they just want to sit down and enjoy something. If that's their passion, why shouldn't we provide that for them?
Yeah, just like this comment I got. Only a fucking dumb Australian would come up with such a pathetic idea. Wow, I just do it for the love. Oh.
Dude, that's so good.
That's awesome. Yeah, but I think you know, the criticism, you know, I think is always good to hear, you know, both sides of the story, and I'm pretty sure I'd love to hear what drove him to do that.
Well,
you know, unfortunately, my Latino blood kind of got the best of me, and I went publicly and said some horrible things to him. But I think I just felt like, on behalf, maybe I shouldn't have, but on behalf of the community, I thought, hang on, I'm pretty sure a lot of the stuff that he was saying didn't actually apply to my content. I don't even know if he knows anything about my channel, but or any of our channels for that matter. But I think just generalizing an entire niche that was very dangerous, because you're right. If you're a new player coming into this and you've got like less than 1,000 subscribers and you watch that, you go, hang on, I've made the wrong decision here. So my outburst online was more to kind of disencourage that thinking, because hang on, there's definitely, as Andrew was saying, there's definitely an engaged audience out there. We're all making stuff that, you know, people like to watch for various different reasons. And in tech, I think the point about the bigger channels, they became so successful, in fair play to them, that they're not able to anymore kind of get into the detail that we get. Like, even though we also don't have a lot of time, we do feel, at least, you know, most of the people I know in my sort of community, kind of we do feel proud of, you know, kind of when we put something out, and we want to make sure that there's very little mistakes, that we kind of test the thing for real. So I think, yeah, for him to say that we're just kind of saying that the phone feels good in the hand or whatever, it was very, too generalizing, and you know,
it does. It feels good.
It does. What do you want me to say?
It was like, what? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on it a minute ago, Andrew, as well, when you said about the channels that are sort of sub 100K or whatever. The big channel, that's something I think you were just touching on there as well, Alex, is that those big channels now, to my mind, a lot of time just become too anodyne. It is a business, and you can tell. And this isn't me coming, you know, they are successful businesses. They have got a lot of pressure to produce, fine. But I think some of those smaller channels, there's so much passion.
They'll pick up on things that the bigger channels just don't have time to. It's not wrong.
Well, you've said it many times, already, about Marquez,
yeah.
that he's literally only used the phone in the studio. You can tell that he's not taken the phone out and used it.
I watched his S25 Ultra review. Well,
you finally watched it?
It wasn't a review of the S25 Ultra. It was more a review of other phones that have other specs. And like, if you're going to review the phone in isolation. Don't review it. If you want to make a comparison video, make a comparison video. But if you're reviewing the phone, review the phone. That was my takeaway from the end of the video.
And as you know, I'm not going to watch his one on the 16E yet, but you've watched both now. You've watched the 16E video of his and his 25 video. Was there a flavor?
It's very subtle. I think I said this to Daniel on a DM a couple of days ago. It's very subtle how he does it. He does criticize Apple. I mean, in the opening, is pretty much a criticism of Apple to say this phone is not for anybody. You know, it's like, you know, who is this phone for, kind of thing. but throughout the video, he's actually making, you know, gentle excuses or reasons for why this phone is actually not bad. So I think there's a bit of that there could have been a lot more criticism.
Why do you think that is? It seems to be Apple just gets handled more gently.
I have my theory with Marquez, and I've said it before. It's a lot to do with the fact that his main bulk viewership is from iPhones. Like his most viewed videos are always Apple videos. Like he unboxed the iPhone when it came out in yellow. He made an unboxing video for a yellow iPhone, and he doesn't do that with any other brand. He won't unbox like a green S24 FE, but with the yellow iPhone, he did. And my just main thinking is, one, he's obviously got a relationship to manage with Apple. Like, I think he's at the point where he's probably too big to get delisted from them, but
Probably
you still have a relationship, and there's maybe contractual agreements that he's signed, not monetary ones, just to do with getting access to devices early. Like the fact he's had the 16E for a week, I'm sure there's a contract in place for that early access under embargo. And there's probably stipulations in there, like don't mention Android brands. You can't say this about it. You can't be too hypercritical. Like I'm sure there is things in place to prevent them being a bit exposed, because I've seen and heard about their commercial agreements with retail stores. Having worked in the industry for as long as I have, you see things with how they sign their commercial agreements. So I'm certain that they would have the same type of thing set up with creators. So I feel like there's a gentler handling of them just purely off the basis of, well, there's a relationship that they need to manage. And for him, the bulk of his AdSense revenue, I guess, when he makes videos would probably be off the back of, you know, lots of interest in iPhone videos. So I just, it's not a slide on him. I completely understand. Like if you're running a business, he's got mouths to feed within his business. It makes sense to have that be a focal point for banker. It just does.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a preference. I think the audience will appreciate you having an opinion, that you're not sitting on the fence every now and then, you know. And, you know, I'm always kind of saying I will use something that works for me at the time. If the iPhone 17 comes out tomorrow and it's brilliant and it does, you know, better for my current use than the Samsung, I wouldn't think twice. Oh my gosh, I can't upset Samsung. You know, it's not something that I build a channel on. It's very much I'll use what excites me. I'll review what gets me excited to talk about. If I go down to the pub and talk to my mate about the latest tech, it's worth making a video about it. That's kind of my very simple rule. Like if I feel excited enough to talk about the tech with anyone, then it's worth making a video about it, because yeah, you have your own take, you have your own perspective on it. Those bigger creators, I think, sometimes have those relationships, and they just have to kind of keep them going, right? And I understand that it's, you know, it's a challenge, but
and we're
in
all
a way, is
we're
why
all
we
newer
exist,
creators, right? So we're all learning this as we go. And you know, if I don't know if a creator that's been doing this for 10, 15 years is watching, but if you are someone at that level, you know, give us a hand, you know, help us all along the way, give us tips, you know, don't just be so distant or in a way sometimes I guess feel like you're so far above that, you know, it's unreachable. We're all trying to grow, we're all trying to learn, and it feels a little bit like, not that smaller creators are looked down upon, but we are literally fighting just to get our foot in the door, to make content, to, you know, working longer hours. I remember I worked a year on my channel and hit 1,000 subscribers after a year. Like, that is grueling. It's discouraging. It's not easy. Do I keep going? Is this stupid? And not to say by any means that, you know, I think I'm big or successful or anything like that, but I do think going through that alone was more difficult. I wish there was some people along the way that could have been, hey, you know, do this or do this. I did take a course by a YouTuber, so that was helpful. But even that, you don't really get the help you need in a community because everyone's on your level, you know?
Yeah.
So
I got to say, actually, being in a privileged position of doing this podcast has been one of the best things because we get to meet guys like you. And, you know, the network ripples out. So now I know that I could reach out and say, oh, I have a problem with this. And that's, and, you know, we've all made contacts through this. And, you know, Patrick Ramble's another guy I know we all know. And, you know, again, you can just reach out and, you know, if you, I'm trying to hook up with this brand and people are there to help. And that's I've only come across maybe one or two people I've ever found to have a massively bent ego in this. The rest have all been really stand-up guys. You can
marketing geniuses, I've found.
An inside joke there, but we'll explain on another episode. I was just going to say that that's so true what Andrew's saying about the community. The reason why I enjoyed this so much, because, you know, it's not easy, right? Creating content isn't easy. I won't go through it, but basically, yeah, you are working late, like 2, 3 a.m. some weekends, you know, kind of sometimes taking time away from your family and whatnot. But we love what we do. Most of us kind of enjoy doing this, and it's getting that comment that says, I really appreciate what you did here. It might be a 5-second in your video that make someone else's day brighten up. For me, that's a success story. Mm-hmm. But I think the point on meeting other creators and sharing information, it's so true. I mean, a couple of days ago, I was at one of these launch events, and a guy that I admired for a long time called Super Saf, who got a massive tech channel here in the UK. It's one of those moments where I'm very introverted. If you meet me in public, I'm kind of very cagey to kind of approach somebody. But I felt so at ease to talk to them. And I was talking to him about, you know, how he does stuff. You know, at that level, I'm thinking, that's awesome. What can I learn? What can I learn from you? You know, how do you edit your videos? Do you still do it yourself, or do you have a massive team? I was really, in that case, kind of impressed by how humble he was in saying, no, I try to do a lot of it myself still. I have an editor. Of course, you know, it's got to produce a lot of content sometimes. But it was so nice to kind of have that open communication. In another business area, that might not be possible, right? A small company sometimes doesn't have the reach to talk to massive companies at that level and get into the nitty-gritty of how they do stuff. And that's been the case more than 90% of the time. You know, whenever you speak to a creator, whatever size, bigger or smaller, everyone wants to share, everyone wants to help each other. I'm always asking, you know, hey, I love that, what you've done with that shot over there. How did you shoot it? You know, what lens did you use? What lighting did you get in that setup? And people are more than welcome to share. And because, you know, we're all kind of learning, as you said, Andrew, and trying to improve with every video, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's an exciting place to be. The community is engaged. They're all out there. So if you ever come across a video saying tech reviews are dead, yeah, look beyond that and kind of, yeah, don't believe everything you see there.
We were just going to talk about this new rollout that YouTube are going to begin to imply about ad placement, so on, which could have an effect possibly for us. Just want to get into that, Andrew. I know the three of us have talked about it before. Have you ever been hit with the invalid traffic strike or not?
Not the invalid, but I did get a video. I've had one video get taken down. Do you guys remember Game Boy games were the emulator app that came to iPhone?
Oh yeah.
Basically, I showed where the ROMs are, where you can find ROMs, and I wasn't struck or anything. The video was just taken down, so Nintendo didn't like it. So, and it was like a year later. It was like a year later too. So it wasn't like, oh, I lost all those views, and you know, since then I've grown a lot in my channel anyway. So it didn't really bother me, and I get it.
And this YouTube advert thing, I know, again, it's something that we're in our group chat talking about during the week. It was funny because as you guys started talking about it, I was talking to Andrew, so we started recording. So I just had a viewer say this week, this isn't a go against the uploader. I just can't deal with the amount of adverts. And I had to click off.
Yeah. It's a tactic, right? Because I've got a very strong opinion on this because, you know, YouTube is meant to be this platform where people go to kind of go away and almost like go into a little bit of a escapism mode, right? You're kind of going there to either get informed about something, learn something new, find out what's coming up, whatever, right? Maybe even news. But I think, you know, when you start having a lot of ads on that platform, is kind of going back to what people moved away from, which is that, mainstream TV. So it's like, I think financially that might be good for YouTube more than for the creators. Otherwise they wouldn't do it. But I just don't see how that helps with, especially, already people are so impatient with content, right? I sometimes feel rushed to tell the story because I know that people will be like, skip, and, kind of in a TikTok mode almost. For the content to be interrupted even further now with these extra ads that they're adding, I don't know. It's crazy to me because, it's going to be another reason for people to click off and they go, oh, hang on. They'll go off this escapism mode, in my view, into, oh shit, I'm watching a video. I better do something else with my life, go and skip to another thing. I don't think it will be great for retention. I think it will just drive us more, even further to try and get stuff too quick, done too quickly. And yeah, I don't know. It's
There's an opt-out where you can choose to continue managing the ads manually. I've tried managing the ads manually. When you upload your video and it says you can choose your midpoint,
where you want
mid-rolls.
to be,
And there was some advice that our friend Samuel Nam got, that you should be doing that yourself. After about a minute and a half of the video, manually put in your own ad slots. And he said, put in as many as you want. And I'm like, well, okay. He goes, apparently that'll increase your AdSense. And I tried it and the AdSense was terrible. And my assumption would be that people were just not watching once it got past a certain point, which would mean that the AdSense would take a dive because there's no advertisers for a video people aren't watching.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this will do. I'm curious to see what it does.
Yeah.
Like I'm just reading it here. That it will reduce the number of mid-rolls shown in interruptive ad slots, such as those in the middle of a sentence. What they're saying is they believe it'll show fewer interruptive ads, resulting in more views and increase the overall revenue opportunity for creators. So I can understand them wanting to stop being interrupted during a sentence because that would annoy people. So if you're judging off that, it could be a better change, but I don't know.
Yeah. I always review it,
wait and see.
especially when if I'm doing like an audio comparison where I have to stop talking and let the phone play for a bit in quiet or whatever. Usually that's when the ad comes in. So I sometimes review it because, it's probably nice to leave a cliffhanger there and people go, hang on, I got to watch this ad before go to the thing. So in a way that might work, but in most cases, I reckon people are actually going, I can't be bothered. They'll probably just go to something else. So I think,
but when you watch a video on TV now, the TVs have so many ads with YouTube.
Yeah, I've watched commercial TV. Yeah,
so many ads on a
premium,
YouTube video. On it, yeah, same. Now that I've got premium, I can't imagine how I ever live without it. To be honest,
no. I mean, I was thinking I've had it now for 2 years.
If you're a YouTube partner, it should still be free. Anyway,
yeah,
that's a good point.
Right?
Yeah,
maybe that is the strategy as well, right? To kind of get more people to sign up to premium.
I think that's
either way is a win-win for them, right?
Yeah.
We still, when viewers are watching as a premium, do we still get a slice of that premium income? We do.
Not great.
You see it in your. It's not great, but it's in your
on the analytics.
It's in the analytics.
Yeah. Because clearly, I think again, Andrew, we talked about that just before when we were talking early on about that they're clearly trying to drive us people towards getting premium.
Yeah,
and if you don't like the adverts,
you can see this decision it's a business decision. It doesn't help creators really. It doesn't help the people watching. So ultimately, if they can get as many consumers to sign up for premium, I was telling David before, like I've been getting weird ads that like I'm not even searching for stuff, and I won't go into detail, but you can kind of imagine weird. That it's like, why would I even get that? And I think it's a bit embarrassing too, because it's like I'm just watching it and then it just goes off and people are around me and I'm like, I promise I wasn't looking at that. And I think it's a subtle strategy just to get more people to stop using or start using YouTube Premium.
I suppose what leading off that, what you're saying is with that weird and extreme kind of ads they're throwing you're thinking, this is so awkward. I'm just going to buy premium now to get rid of that.
Or like, have you seen, like, there's so many bad ads too. Like, who would who would click on that link?
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like it's a little bit on purpose. Like if we give them terrible ads, they will get so frustrated that they will just buy YouTube Premium. And that might work for 3% of the people watching YouTube, but it's my conspiracy theory.
I bought it because every time I was demonstrating a YouTube video on camera, the ad would start and I'd already started recording. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to sit here now and wait for the ad to finish.
It's so worth it for content.
I'm just going to get Premium now. I'm over it. And yeah, it's way better.
Yeah, I was watching, I think I watched the episode where you talked with Patrick, and I think it was brought up that you had gotten Premium. I don't have Premium, but you did say you did it as a tax write-off. So now I'm thinking might as well just get it.
Absolutely. So. Anything Apple TV Plus, that's a tax write-off straight away.
I want to see a review of Apple TV. Give me a review of Apple TV Plus. I want to see it.
I've mentioned it on the pod now. It's done. It's already done.
Okay, guys, I think have we covered all the bits and bobs we wanted to get through this time around? I think we have, haven't we?
Yes.
You've got to get off to Orlando to go and pick up your 16. I've got to put a SIM card in and find out a bit more about it. What you boys up to? I mean, yeah, you're going to sleep in a minute. You've got football in the morning, Daniel, I know.
Yep.
A few hours time.
All day tomorrow, actually.
Approaching half midnight now as we finish for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shh. Sleepy time.
I'm MWCing tomorrow, so I'll be in Barcelona getting some more content from there, some tech content. So yeah, my first one, so it should be exciting. Yeah,
that's cool.
And I'll be up in London with my iPhone on Monday, shooting a whole load of stuff out there with a brand, and so it's the first time I've been paid to go and stay somewhere and make content. I'm suddenly feeling the pressure's on because I've got to deliver. You only get one chance to actually get the shots done. So. Actually, before we go, your SD card story, Alex, just tell us about that.
Oh yeah, so literally an hour before the podcast started, I went to offload my camera, my files into my laptop to do some editing. That's 160 files. They're all like 4K HD, like 4K footage. And yeah, the card got corrupted. And there was that syncing, 5 years doing this, several cards, gone through loads of them. That never happened before. And it was a panic moment. I already had deleted files that I deleted by mistake. So I had a tool to recover files. That didn't work. I almost bought another one. And then just before giving up, I thought I tried Mac OS disk utility. And there's like a first aid thing that you can run on the card. And it did that in 5 seconds. And my card popped up with all the footage back. And I was like, thank God. Like, I'm so happy. Because it was a full day. There was embargo content. So if you see a video tomorrow, you will know what it is. And there's not something that I can just reshoot. It's tomorrow or never. So.
One and done, yeah.
Can't imagine.
There you go. That's why I was looking relieved. Right. Thank you, everyone that's been subscribing. And just before we came on, I saw another couple of people that subscribed to the channel. I felt like getting back in touch with them. We're just about to record the next one. So thank you again for helping the channel grow. We are heading towards monetization. I reckon by the end of the year, we're going to pass that magic 1,000 subs on the channel.
You guys will do it for sure.
Andrew, it's been a real pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for finding time. And let us know what you make of the 16E as well.
Yeah, will do, guys. Thanks for having me.
Guys, catch you very soon. Cheers. See you. Bye.
Thank you.